another thing you should have on your computer are the topo maps, and you will find them inside the little folder maps. So I really recommend never to tick on a big folder like that, because it will activate everything and that might crash your Google Earth. So always have a look inside and only select what you want. So I'm going to have a look inside maps. I'm going to do a left click on the triangle there, and I can see that I have some Topo 250K maps and Topo 50K maps. So what I have to do is, once again, don't tick and activate a full folder. Have a look and only pick what you want, because that's really gonna, these maps are really heavy and they can crash your Google Earth. So once again, have a look inside. So let's say I want to have a look at the Darwin area for the 250K, so I can have a look inside. I know I've got two maps, which is pretty good, so I'm going to activate this and do a left click and tick Darwin. So now the map has been loaded, so we know we've got one map here, and I can have a look now, if I do a zoom, at what we've got for Darwin here. I can press R on my keyboard to center it properly, and that's quite interesting to have a topo map on the top of Google Earth. What you want to do straight away is probably to change the opacity of this map, so you can see both of the satellite view from Google Earth and the topo map. So what you can do, you just be sure you have got the Darwin folder activated right there, and we're going down and we're going to change the opacity, adjust opacity. I'm going to do a left click on this, and I know the opacity is at the maximum, 100%. So if I start moving this all the way, I can now see through my topo map. That's no topo map at all, transparency, the opacity is at 0. If I put it, let's say, at around this is pretty good. If I'm zooming out, you can see now you got a little bit of GPS maps and a little bit of topo maps on this. And I can do the same thing for some other maps. So let's say I'm going to have a look at even Ramingining. Ramingining's got two maps. So if I tick on the Ramingining folder, now we have two maps. Here we go. So if I'm zoom on this here, this is how the opacity is working. Let's say I'm going to change, I have only the 5303 map selected, which is actually the one on the right. Okay, I got this one selected. And if I'm going there, I'm changing the opacity, I'm going to change the opacity only of the maps on the right, the one that is selected. And if I select now 5302, the map on the left, I'm changing the opacity, then it's going to change the one only from the left. So if I put everything back to the maximum, 503 to the maximum, and if I'm selecting now Ramingining or 250K, or Ramingining, if I'm going to change the opacity, it's going to change the opacity of all the folders and maps we've got underneath. So if I change it, it will change then both of them. So be sure that you will change them at the top, which is basically at the top folder. And if you try to change opacity, you see nothing is happening, check what is the opacity for all the different layers. And sometime you will find out that if you got, let's say, 250K opacity at 0, and you got Ramingining opacity at the max, and you would think, oh, I should see my map, and I cannot see it, even if at the max, it's because one of the layers underneath has the opacity change. So if I'm going back to my 250 and I can realize, oh, okay, the opacity of 250K is down, so I should put it up and then I have it there. So I can change this like that. And if I now gonna so that's a basic functionality for the maps. We also have the 50K maps. So if I'm minimizing this Topo 50K there, I can also have a look in the 50K maps. So the 50K maps there's a lot of them that are really heavy, so you really have to be very selective. So of course, never tick the big folder, have a look inside first and only select what you want. So I'm going to do a left click to open this, and I'm going into the ranges, which is the Ramingining area here, and there is many of them. So if I tick on this, it will take a while to open, but I'm just going to open one, 58722, and that's this little one here. So if I'm having a look there, They are much better resolution there. So if I'm got the 722 selected and I'm going to change the opacity, I will start seeing what's underneath, which is basically the 250K map. So 250K map and therefore 50K map. You can do a lot of things like that. What you will use a lot if you're doing a report and you want to show maps and also tracks and so on at the same time, what will be very useful, and I'm going to minimize this. I'm just going to, let's say, the folder work here, select this, and I'm just going to create a little track there, a path. Select this, do my track like that, change the color to probably black, okay, and I'm going to put it to 6. Okay. So here, if I want to export this as a file to put it on a report and so on, I just want to export and save this, what I'm seeing now, as an image file. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to file, save as an image. It's going to ask me where to save it. I'm going to put it there, my map, and I can click save. And then I will have, if I'm looking at it, my map here. I can put that into any Word document, Excel document, and I will have my different layers. So very useful for doing some reports. Now that you have activated the different maps, I really recommend that before you close your Google Earth to untick everything. So put it back to normal. So I'm going back to my Topo 50K, select on it, put back to the maximum opacity, and I'm unselecting this so it's all clean, and I'm going to do the same thing with my map there. Darwin is good, and remaining 250K back to the max, and I can untick them. Because if you have many maps and layers activated, next time if you close your Google Earth, next time you open it, you will try to open all of them. It can take some time, and you'll be wondering, oh, why is that so slow? Because you really got to clean up your Google Earth before you close it. It will save you time. We don't need this untitled path anymore, so I can do a right click, delete. Okay.